Hello everyone, and welcome to Tech and Coffee's weekly series, Tech News Week, the show where we talk about all the news and happenings of all things tech. I'm Duke Carrico, and this week it's all about Google, as the tech giant kicked off its 2012 I/O Developer Conference, and it had what I'm calling a barn burner of innovation. Among the many new announcements and products that were shared, Google unveiled a new version of its Android operating system, a 7-inch $200 Google-branded tablet, a streaming media device called the Nexus Q, Chrome browser for iOS-based devices, new Google Plus features, and a new Google Plus app specifically for Android tablets, updates to the Play Store interface, and even more that I doubt we're going to have time to get into on today's show. Okay. Joining me today is Andrew Rowland from Louisiana, Bruce Turner from Virginia, George Dosher from North Carolina, Glenn, your last name just left me, Glenn Jones from Kentucky, Guy Cook from Washington, Jeff Zoss from California, Joey Escovel from Texas. I can't believe you made it, Josh. Josh McKinney, all right. So you're from Washington. No, you're from Oregon, aren't you, Josh? Okay, very good. And Yvonne R. from Florida. Okay, guys, welcome. I appreciate you guys joining me. First of all, let's talk about Jelly Bean. There was a lot that happened. Google I/O Developer. I can't remember Google having more of an event as what they had this week. It was something else. And first, let's jump into Jelly Bean. You got what they're calling a new user interface called Project Butter, Google Now, offline voice typing, improved voice search, more control over Android widgets, notifications that I personally am very excited about. I really like what the notification feature looks like. Better camera functions. What do you think, guys? Is this a major update?
I definitely think it is a major update. I think it's the Google Now feature is I watched a video on that the other day, and it seems, it's comparing it to Siri, and it seems really fast, and it seems like a great alternative to what Apple's offering with Siri, and maybe even a better alternative.
Yeah, I would agree. In fact, my contract runs out with AT&T in November, and that's going to be my time to switch. And I'm definitely, after seeing Jelly Bean, ready to make the switch from my trusty iPhone to a new Android device at that time.
Very interesting. Anybody else? What do you think about Jelly Bean?
I got a quick comment. I can't wait to get it. That's number one. Number two, I still don't have ICS yet on my Razr phone, but I think it's incredible what they're doing. I like the offline maps. I think it's going to be really helpful. And offline keyboard too, which is you can compose emails offline as well. So that's two nice little features for those don't always have a connection.
Right, and I'm curious to find out. Because I don't know the percentage, but the people who are following the fragmentation, I'm wondering what, if they are going to be updating any of these devices, are they just going to skip ICS completely and just go straight to Jelly Bean? Or is a whole new set of hardware required for it? That's what I'm curious to find out.
Well, they're shipping the Jelly Bean with the Nexus 7 and the Nexus phone, so that's already preloaded. So I don't know about the rest.
I think Joey's hit his head right on the nail when he said, "Is new hardware going to happen?" That's the future.
Yeah.
They didn't buy Motorola to see if it could work.
Yep.
Yeah, but you think that the Motorola, I have the Razr Max, and I still don't have ice cream sandwich yet, right? So.
I feel your pain. I've got the note. I'm still waiting on ice cream sandwich, and that thought crossed my mind.
I am glad to have ICS, but I would like to have Jelly Bean on the Transformer.
Yeah,
right, and I think some of the things that they, I'm sorry, Drew. Some of the things that they improved with Jelly Bean was kind of improvements on ice cream sandwich, and almost to the point where they knew that ICS was a good step forward, but it was just that little step for the next level. And, you know, ICS was necessary, but I think Jelly Bean is really where they wanted to start really going forward with this.
Yeah, I agree. I think also they did the new notifications are pretty cool too in the Jelly Bean, where you don't have to go into the app to see what the thing is. So you can go directly from the notification, and it'll kind of open up the email that you got, and you could reply. You could do all that stuff within the notifications, and they kind of made it look like cards. It's just very slick.
Mm-hmm. I agree so much, and in fact, you know, as someone who's used both Android and iOS devices, you know, I always liked, early on, I liked Android's approach to notification, whereas on iOS, you actually got a pop-up. And then when Apple introduced very similar to Google, it was, you know, where you slide it down. But, you know, let's face it, Apple's was a lot prettier to look at. It was a lot slicker looking. And, you know, Android stepped up their game again. And like I say, the notification system, Jeff, is what I'm excited about in Jelly Bean. I think it's awesome that I can get a notification, I can touch that notification and get additional information, and I haven't even opened up the app. I think that's just, that's a very neat approach. Okay. Any other thoughts about Jelly Bean?
Well, I think the only thing that's really going to... I think the only thing that's really going to hinder is that most manufacturers are not really... There's two parts to this story that really hurt. Manufacturers want to put, like Motorola will use Moto Blur, and AT&T wants to throw their stuff on top of it. Users should be given the choice, do you want vanilla, or do you want AT&T's cool stuff that we throw on top of it? I'm, for one, am one of those people, I run CyanogenMod on everything except for my 1X. I would run it on this if I could unlock it. But they can streamline the whole getting phones up to date if they would let them have that choice. And I don't think it'll ever happen, unfortunately. But
do you think that Project Butter is Google's way of saying you need to quit skinning the Google interface and start using this new interface built that is fast, fluid, and smooth? Well, you know,
throw your apps in, it's fine, but...
Yeah, I think that's why Google, I think that's this whole approach to Project Butter myself. I think it's to say, hey, phone manufacturers, you can't do better than this right here.
Right.
You know?
Well,
yeah, but I think they gave them the ability to write to that API or whatever as well. So I think that's part of the developer stuff.
I think I kind of want to take a different stance on that, and I still believe they are they fully want to keep this as open as possible, and I think they do treasure the modding community. I think they like what they see and what they do, because some of the things that they do really innovate some of the feature sets that they may push in future releases. And what the Project Butter really does is puts the software in a position where it becomes more responsive, so that your skinning and any modding that you do is just that much better, so that no matter how you skin it, no matter how you mod this thing, whenever, because it always comes up, how is it going to compare to iOS or Windows Phone or whatever, you know, how is Android better than blah, you know, whether it's iPhone or Windows Phone or whatever, it's usually iPhone. And Android wants to be in that position where it says, you know what, it doesn't matter. Android is Android, and because of Project Butter, no matter what you're using, it's going to be smooth.
Right.
Yeah.
I just hope we get to a point.
And you may be right.
I just hope we get to a point with Android.
Go, Andrew.
I hope we get to a point in Android where everyone, there's a requirement for hardware, and everyone gets an update at the same time, like iOS. I think we need to get to that point and reduce fragmentation across the Android platform.
And I think one of the things that Google did mention, I can't recall from who or which panelist had said it, but the idea is that Google would be taking more charge and pushing those updates. Now, I don't know if they were just speaking about the Nexus 7 specifically, or any devices out of that Nexus line, or if they were just talking about, we're going to force these carriers to, really push these updates sooner than later.
Wasn't it last I/O that they were saying that? They were like, we're going to get on the carriers, we're going to make, and that was, it was like 6 months ago. I don't think it was I/O, but they were like, yeah, we're going to get on them, we're going to do this. And, I mean, I understand it's probably, trying to fight a bull if you're an ant, but, the carriers want what they want, and so it's going to be kind of interesting.
Well, I think, like I say, time will tell. I think we can all agree, though, that that fragmentation is a problem on the Android platform. Okay, I'll tell you what, gang. Let's move on, because I think the even bigger news out of Google I/O was the Nexus 7 tablet. A little bit about the tablet. First of all, it's built by ASUS. It's got a quad-core Tegra 3 processor, 1.3 gigahertz, I believe, 1 gig of RAM. It's running the new Jelly Bean operating system. It's got a decent screen resolution of 1280 by 800, an 8-hour battery life, which sounds pretty sweet to me as someone who has a tablet that gets maybe 5 hours if I'm lucky. More importantly, we're talking a $200 price point. I guess my first question is, who besides Jeff has ordered a Nexus 7?
Next paycheck.
Next paycheck.
Or if I sell this guy. This proved that $200 and the Amazon Kindle proved $200 was the magic price. The HP touchpad, that fire sale made it absolutely solid. This is how it needs to go.
Yeah, let's just say I'm going to be visiting Gazelle.com and seeing what my other devices will go for.
I'm thinking that, Joey. I am thinking that. I'm telling you right now, man.
To my defense,
sell your old electronics.
to my defense was I was waiting for this tablet to come online, so I could buy it, because I knew I wanted this. So I just jumped I jumped with the rest of the herd. What can I say?
You look like an evil scientist doing that, Jeff.
Well, you remember at CES, ASUS announced that there was going to be a tablet with a Tegra 3 quad-core, and it looked like the price point was going to be about $250. I've been anxiously awaiting, to pull the trigger on that. But then when I began to hear rumors about $199 with essentially the same hardware, I thought, I'll wait a little bit.
Right. And what really strikes me curious with, I'm sure all of us, we're all Google fans, and I think part of it is we drink the same Kool-Aid, so that's part of this. But I find it interesting that
hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tech and Coffee Newsweek Part 2. And as we move on here, let's cover the Google I/O news. Probably the biggest news of the conference was the Nexus 7 tablet. Again, built by ASUS. It's got a quad-core Tegra 3 processor, 1 gig of RAM. It's running the new Jelly Bean, screen resolution of 1280 by 800, 8-hour battery life, and probably most important, a $200 price point. As we get started back here, I want to welcome Keith Miller to the room. Keith, I guess, in effect, taking Yvonne's place. Keith, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. I had asked, just before we lost connection, I had asked Jeff about if anybody in the room had ordered it other than Jeff. And Jeff, all I heard was in my defense. So if you want to pick it up right there in your defense, I would appreciate it.
Okay, my defense is that I've been waiting for this tablet to happen for a little while. I've been shopping tablets. So during the presentation, I kept on clicking Google Play, and I was waiting. And as soon as they were done with the presentation, you could pre-order it, and I just pulled the trigger and did it. I just got the 8 gigabyte. I just want to use it to play with and do the Google Hangouts and some other things. So yes, I'm expecting it in about 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So looking forward to it.
Very cool. Let me ask you something. You said you've been waiting, and you've been waiting. what was it about this that made you take the You've never owned a tablet up until...
Yeah, no, I actually purchased the Toshiba Thrive and I returned it. I didn't really because it didn't really work the way I wanted to, and so I just wanted this because first of all it's a gadget in my mind. Anything under $200, $220, it's a gadget, and for $220 as a front-facing camera, it has all those cool features. I can use it in the Hangouts. I just said I'm going to take the plunge and I'm going to do it, and that's pretty much why I did it. It was the price point. It was just so perfect.
Okay, just a question to the group. Is this the proverbial Kindle Fire killer?
I think it could even be the Microsoft tablet killer, too, just because of the price point and the release date.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, basically, I do think that, the Fire's been very popular, but I think the price point is just phenomenal.
I have one person in my life that owns a Kindle Fire. She's in 3rd grade, 9 years old, Bailey, my grandniece. She thinks it's the best thing since peanut butter. Okay? She loves it.
I had the Kindle Fire, and I went through rooting it and got the full Android experience on it, but the Kindle Fire doesn't even have a microphone on it, much less a camera. So you couldn't even do a Skype call, This particular device just blows the Kindle Fire right out of the water. For sure.
Right, and one of the things that initially the Kindle Fire set itself apart was that it was going to be using the Amazon store, which does not have the full treasure trove of apps that are available to Android. But now that Android has come out with their tablet, now Google can really re-tout that or reopen that wound, if you will, and say, oh yeah, remember y'all chose that because of all the apps that you could get with the Amazon store. Well, now you get every app that you ever wanted.
Plus the other thing is with the Jelly Bean, right, in that Butter project, it's going to maximize the GPU that they put in there on the tablet, and it's just going to have just a better experience. So and it's shipping with the Jelly Bean on it, so I think that's going to be perfect.
And as far as being a Microsoft killer, I don't think you can kill something that hasn't been released yet. But I think the devices are completely different. I think Microsoft is going for something that I think the enterprise department is going to pick up more than the consumers. And so it's hard for me personally to put the two in comparison. And even it's kind of hard for me to even compare the iPad with this.
Yeah, well,
again, I think it's a little different device. I think it's the in-between between the Kindle Fire. I think it's more of a Kindle Fire competitor, but I think it's a step in between the iPad and the Kindle Fire because of the feature set and the horsepower behind it.
Yeah. Well, what about the Nook? Is it a Nook killer too? Because a lot of people seem to like the Nook as well as the Kindle Fire.
Right.
I mean, I think that this new Nexus 7 tablet is an iPad competitor. I don't think it's in the Nook or the Kindle category at all. Yeah. I think Microsoft's on its own. Businesses are going to use the Microsoft Surface tablet, but that's it. It's going to be.
Well, I mean, I think that some will. I detect a bit of a sea change in businesses, and I think that much more businesses are actually now thinking about cloud-based solutions, and the Microsoft tablet appeals to those people who specifically feel they need to run Windows. But I think they haven't released it yet, and we haven't got a price for it. And I think the hardware's pretty sexy on the Microsoft device, but I think the Nexus 7 really does put the pressure on them to come up with something very special in pricing. Because if they don't, then people just look at it and go, "That's far too expensive."
Yeah, I mean, it's
even for enterprise apps.
Let me ask you guys this question. I've got I normally don't buy things on an impulse, but I bought this right here. This is a little Acer 7-inch tablet. Literally, I bought it on impulse. There's a plethora of these out here on the market. It's amazing what's coming out of China. Okay, they're decent tablets. Okay, what makes the Nexus 7 special? I mean, because basically all Google did was take a tablet that Acer already made. I mean, wasn't the thing at CES when Google approached them? What makes the Nexus 7 such a special tablet? What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's a decent spec, right, where a lot of the tablets are on the market are not a decent spec. It's a decent spec tablet. It's not the best in class. You know, you've got to look at the iPad 2 for that. But you know, it's not the best in class, but it is a decent spec, and it's a phenomenal price point.
Yeah,
you know,
I think
and why wouldn't you buy one?
Right. I think they would have gone for price. Otherwise, they would have gone for a 10.1 inch tablet. They could have done that with Asus or somebody else. I think they were trying to hit that price point, and that's the goal.
Exactly. I mean, people can't afford the $600 iPad stuff is for the hipsters who kind of have or the people who have the money to actually go out and buy one as a toy. You know, that suddenly you've got a $200 price point. That suddenly becomes something that people will buy as an e-reader.
As I've said before, you know, $200 is disposable income to a lot of people in the world.
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly, and they're shipping it with a $25 credit towards Play.
Right.
Google Play. So that's what it is. It's intro to Google Play. It's the device to interface to Google Play.
Yep. And to reiterate the latest version of Jelly Bean, I mean, isn't everything cooked better with butter? So.
There you go, buddy.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Any other? Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I'd sum it up as disruptive technology at a disruptive price. You know, we can guess what the market's going to do, but I think the market's just going to go crazy over this because it's so cheap for such good technology.
Yeah. Well, you know, have I missed something? Right now, it is only available in the Play Store. Is that correct?
Correct.
But you know, Asus has they don't just make stuff; they ship it all over the world. So I expect them to start appearing in a lot of other places.
So you wonder if Rachel Ray had anything to do with the development of this thing with the butter and all, you know?
Paula Deen.
It's just how many more people are going to be on Google Plus? How many more people are going to join? You know, it's just another entree to all their other services, and that's exactly what they're doing.
You know, I don't doubt that they're actually making a loss on these. I don't doubt that at all. But that's the same as Sony did with the PS2, and it's the same as Microsoft did with the Xbox. You know, you do it as a loss leader, but you know, it comes back to pays back in dividends sort of within a couple of years.
Well, they've stated they're coming out dead even. They're not losing. They're not gaining. If they are, it's very little. So they're like, this is perfect.
Yeah, I don't know if it's true. I've read that like the Kindle, supposedly Amazon's losing between $4 and $7 on every Kindle sold. I'm sure that they might on that Kindle, but I guarantee you they're making it back in Prime and Amazon Books and other places.
Oh, and also Google's making it in search, in clicks through, in CPMs. Everything is going to be, more mobile devices are being used on search than desktops. So bingo, bango, more money.
Do you think we'll come back around to this idea of free devices that have our ad supported? You know, maybe a Google tablet that's ad supported, and they give you the device, and you can only use the Google Play Store.
I honestly don't think so, because my personal view is I spend a lot of time working in telecoms, and there's been I would say an awful lot of people who've gone with this free ad-funded services and ad-funded, and to be honest, Google can do it because they've got the scale, but I don't think they'd have even they would have the scale to fund $150, $200 worth of hardware.
Right. But I don't think that Amazon, because Amazon they're taking that loss because of what Google is able to do. Sorry, I'm stuttering here. I think Google, they're not going to take that loss because you're going to be using their search, and then their search has advertisements, so I think it's going to pay for itself.
Yeah, Google don't have to. Amazon took a big risk, and I think that that could have paid off for them, and maybe it has paid off for them. But I think longer term, the trouble with that approach also is that someone will always be cheaper. Someone will always be prepared to give away more free.
Right.
And companies are literally prepared to hive off a subsidiary and have that subsidiary go out of business
Look
if
how
it
much,
means getting customer base.
Look how much Google gives away for free now. I mean, they got Google Docs, they got they got Hangouts, they got Google G+. They have a lot of services that are free, and this is just another another entree to their freeness and their profitability. I think it's gonna do really, really well. Because I bought one.
So is that
I'll tell you what. Let's move on, and this next one, really, we talked about Jelly Bean and the Nexus tablet, and both of those really excited me. I was really getting into that at the developer conference, but then they brought out the Nexus Q, and they've got this. It's a streaming device. It's tied to Google's Play Store. It looks to me like it's designed to compete directly with products like Apple TV and Roku, except the fact that it's 3 times more and requires an additional Android device to even make it work. I don't know, guys. I'm not quite sure what to make of this product. I look at it. Some of the functionality already exists in Google's Google TV, and I don't know. What's your thoughts on this, guys?
Well, I'm quite happy to dive in on this because this is an area I'm very familiar with because I knew this was coming some time ago because I have some contacts in the industry, and I agree. I don't think it's phenomenally compelling. What will be compelling is if people take the platform and actually build on it and produce something really impressive from it. But Joey's just mentioned in chat Sonos, but Sonos is kind of where I'm coming from because I'm actually a long-time Sonos user. And for anyone who doesn't know, Sonos is a music system which is very similar to the Nexus Q in many respects, except it's been around for about 6 or 7 years now. And it's a multi-room system. It's not quite as sexy as the Nexus Q in terms of features because it's an older device. I mean, these things have been around for 7 years. Back in 2005, 2006, they didn't have the technology available to do some of the clever stuff. But it's still the leading multi-room system around. A little bit more expensive, but it's the gold standard. And they have to compete with that, and the difference is that Sonos actually streams from Spotify, it streams from Rhapsody, it streams from Wolfgang's Vault. There's about half a dozen streaming services that Sonos works with, and it works with your own local music collection like iTunes, none of which the Nexus Q currently does. So I think it's going to be a hard push for them to actually get the impetus against things like Sonos, against the Squeezebox range, the Slim Devices Squeezebox range, the Sonos, the Rokus, and the fact that all the TVs nowadays, you buy a smart TV and it's got all that functionality built in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that it's 2 different products, right? I mean, they got Google TV and then they got this. One is for the stereo, supposedly in YouTube, and the other one is for what? So right. I think one of them is going to have to go away, and I bet you that it's going to be the Google TV is going to be a web-based, Chrome-based thing that interfaces to the Q eventually or something like that, because it just doesn't make sense to have both products out there. It's very, very segmented. I mean, why would they want to do that? So I think it's got to be, if they're developing something brand new and doing this social, what they call the social streaming, where another person can add a song or add a movie to the playlist of theirs onto yours. Kind of it makes for joint viewing, which is kind of the Google experience. That's my quick take.
Well, in Google. Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
What I was going to say, well, Google is well known for creating 2 things that seem like should be one, like Android and Chrome OS. I mean, that's one example of 2 things that really should be one thing. And here we have what was, Project Tungsten, with with Google TV, and I think it's a misstep. But I think eventually we will see it merged together, whether it merges into the Q or merges into Google TV. I think they're going to have a better marketing push if they go ahead and merge the Q with Google TV.
But
because right now you look at the Q, and I think a lot of people are just kind of scratching their head and saying, it's neat. I don't know exactly what I can do. And then they look at that price point,
yeah.
and then they automatically shut down.
Yeah, that's my...
I've chatted briefly with some of the Sonos guys I know, because I've been a long-time customer and actually a beta trialist for Sonos. I kind of know some of the guys, and they love this because they just see it as expanding their market. People are going to look at this and go, wow, this is really good. And they're going to look around and see that, it validates the market for someone like Sonos, who are already the leading people in the market. But I agree, people are going to look at it and go, well, unless they're really hooked up on the social aspect of being able to share media streams, which to a degree you can do with the Sonos app anyway. You can run it on a smartphone and you can share Spotify playlists, and it's not really that new. I just think it's going to struggle a little bit, and I actually don't think that Google actually believe in this as a product. And the reason I say that is because of the price point. If they believed in it, they would push it at a price point similar to what they've done with the Nexus Q, Nexus 7.
They had it in the general session, in the very first spot, and the highlighted spot.
I think they believe in it as an ecosystem, but I don't think they believe in it as a product. I think that just the same as Chromebooks. Chromebooks were a bit of a toe in the water, and they made a big fuss about them because they have to. But I think that they're, basically trying to get something out there and say, well, let's see where it goes, because we're not really sure, and we don't want to lose loads of money on it, so let's kind of price it at something where we're actually making a little bit of money on to cover our costs in case we don't sell many. But
I can recall when they were excited about Google TV, and they talked about it all over stage and got me excited, and I went and bought one, and for a long time I regretted it. I do like it now after a couple of updates, but hey, listen, I'm still not watching Hulu on it, so there you go.
I'd say it's part of an evolving ecosystem, and as Joey mentioned tungsten, I think that they, because the reason I knew about it in advance is because I was told by one of the Sonos guys that they actually officially were told by Google that they couldn't talk to them anymore after a very close partnership on some projects, and that what was driving that was tungsten. They just started doing some field trials of tungsten. And I think what they've done is they basically played around with the technology, which tungsten was a lot broader than just music and media. And I think they played around with the technology and gone, yeah, actually this stuff's pretty difficult to do in the way we'd really like to do it. So let's put something out there which is a bit kind of Me Too. It's a bit like Sonos, a bit like Squeezebox. See how well, but it's got a few kind of Google twists on it, and see how we go with that, and see if we can kind of find the right direction, because at the moment we're not really sure what the right direction is.
Right.
Okay.
Well, one quick thing before we move on. I think one important thing to mention, though, I think it was important for Google to put this forward or advertise it as, look, we are innovating. This is something that we are interested in doing. Yeah, this might not be as baked as we want it to as far as what we're trying to accomplish, but we are doing it, and this is proof that we're doing it.
And they have asked for developer support. I think they made it clear when they unveiled it. So we'll see when it happens. I'll tell you what. Next topic. Google Plus enhancements. We've got G Plus is running on. It's got its own specific app. Looks gorgeous on my 7-inch tablet, but more importantly, it looks gorgeous on my Android phone also. I'm really liking what they've done. The events features. What do you guys think about the enhancements that were rolled out this week?
I mean, on my Android phone, I was a little disappointed when they went into the dark viewing on the app, and when they went back to a light to match the rest of their ecosystem. I was very happy. As far as design goes, it makes me happy. I still have had problems with the Hangouts from a mobile device, though, and it seems to have a lot of problems that way.
The Google Plus, the new version on my HTC Evo, the first 4G phone that they had for Sprint way back when, rocks. It is 10 times better than the first effort.
I'm curious, Bruce. Can you now join a Tech and Coffee hangout from your iPhone?
I cannot. I can't do it by a link. I was hoping that when an event that I could go to events and be able to see the situation and get in there, but I cannot.
Okay. Yeah, I can't from my iPad either, but I'm telling you, Hangouts rocks on Android. They're doing a great job with it.
Yeah. Just give a slightly different perspective. I actually love the feed. I still don't think it's as good as Flipboard in terms of presentation and usage, but I absolutely love the feed. I've got a Galaxy S3, and it's fantastic on that. It's fantastic on my Transformer in terms of the feed on that. One thing I will report though, I've had all kinds of problems with Hangouts on this.
Is that running ICS?
It's running ICS.
Yeah, see, I'm running ICS as well, and I have tons of problems with mobile Hangouts.
And I have, it goes into the Hangout, and it will go into there, and it will be fine, and then it will just drop out of the Hangout, and I can't get back in, and it keeps on telling me that the Hangout's actually finished, even though it hasn't. Yep. And but other than that, the presentation of it is fantastic. It's just lovely.
Has anyone tried to do it from an event? I actually love the event side because it's you can just literally click on the event, past or present, and there's a little yellow bar in there that you can just go into and join that hangout at any time. It gives it solid links, which I think is excellent, which fixed Tech and Coffee's problem we had for a while with solid links.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, it's fantastic.
I actually learned something from Joey that I didn't know about the events, and that's the party feature. Joey, why don't you tell how you guys used that last night on a photo shoot?
Yeah, well, we went to a photo thing. It's called Drink and Click here in Austin, and you just go and shoot photos and drink beer and just socialize. But it was perfect timing because the host had created the event in Google Plus, and everyone, attended and joined. And then once the event started, the little notification came up saying, "Do you want to put yourself into party mode?" And what that does is anyone who turns on party mode on their Android device, when you take photos, it goes straight into that stream, into that event stream. You take a photo, it goes in there, and it's just really neat to be able to follow along on that event and see these photos just filling up in that event. And I think, Google had a better example. The wedding. And if everyone turned on their cameras and took pictures, you get all these different perspectives of the wedding, because at our wedding that we put a whole bunch of cameras, on all the guest tables, and we wanted people to shoot pictures so that we could have this collection of photos from their perspective. Well, that's exactly what this feature provides.
Yeah, it reminds me just a little bit of the Color app of, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, and what they were trying to do. But this is a better implementation of it. I think that's really cool, Joey. Yeah. Okay. I'll tell you what. Jeff, I know you're going to have to go right here in a second. So why don't I just go ahead and wrap this up. Guys, really appreciate it. Appreciate you guys joining us. And for anyone watching, let's see, looks like we've got 9 viewers here now. For anyone watching, let me tell you guys just a little bit about Tech and Coffee. We're a semi-public Google Plus Hangout. We meet daily, and some of us even do some live shows. This is a weekly series called Tech News Week, but besides following us on Google, you can catch us on Twitter at Tech and Coffee 1. We've even got a Facebook page so just search on Tech and Coffee or facebook.com/TechandCoffee1. You can find us on Google Plus using the hashtags TAC Newsweek. When we're doing on air, it's TAC On Air Hangout. And if you just want to find us, just try TAC Hangout. Also, we've got a website, techandcoffee.info, and there's always a link to where we're hanging out on techandcoffee.info. So come and check us out. Guys, appreciate it. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll do this again in about a week. See you guys later.
Excellent. Thanks, Duke.
Take care, man.
See you, Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thanks.